everybody. I'm Stenderup, and I don't know why we have to tape record. We have to record this, but
we don't have to.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I like
it. Could be used against me. You know, that gets suspicious sometimes. So, as far as a quick bio, I'm a farmer from Marvin, California. I've lived there most of my life. Graduated from Marvin High in 1977. I was fortunate enough, and this is the link that Dr. Woods and I have. We both attended Stanford as undergrads. I was able to, out of Marvin High, went there and played football for 4 years, graduated in 4 years, with a degree in economics. They don't have a business program or an ag program at Stanford.
Did you play all 4 years?
I was there.
I thought you had to stop
injured
your neck.
My neck my sophomore year, yeah. I didn't embellish, did I?
No.
Okay, you're going to keep me honest here. So then I had other plans. I was going to go off to, okay. And then since then, in the last few years, I finally got my MBA from Cal State University, Bakersfield. I don't think the GMAT wouldn't have qualified me to go to Stanford or Harvard or Yale or maybe even UCLA, but I was able to work this program in, just as most of you have full-time day jobs, right? It's a lot of work, and families maybe, and all those other extracurricular things, but it worked. It was a really great experience for me. I wouldn't have traded it for the world or anywhere else. Our group of people from all over, probably just as diverse as this group, and the group projects were really good for me. And to tell on myself a little bit, so this is back before the personal computers were invented when I was in college, right? So I'm going to tell on myself on that. I didn't realize you could do a PowerPoint by yourself. I thought you had to send it away or have a tech guy do it for you. So I learned that in this program. That was one of the things I learned at Cal State Bakersfield. And then after that, once I took that, we ran with it. We've since done presentations up and down because it has worked for me. So somebody mentioned about the trade organizations that I'm involved in. That's been a benefit, a direct benefit. I've been involved with them always, but now I'm moving forward even more so with those, whether it's the Almond Board of California, my work with Blue Diamond, California Tomato Research Institute, California Potato Board Research Board. That has enabled me to have an insight of what to grow, which product to make, right? Now we're going to apply this. Forget I'm saying farming or crops. Think of that as, what are we going to call it? What are we going to, you guys can participate here. I know you're tired, but I've been working today too. I started at 6:30 this morning. I don't know what time you guys started. So, instead of a crop, what is it? Product? It's a product, right? Instead of a farm, it's just a business. We have a family business that, it's a general partnership. It's a family farm. Is anybody else here involved in is your family involved in a family business? No? Yeah, okay, I'm not going to, okay, so you may be somewhat aware.
My grandpa was a bookkeeper for a farmer.
Okay, very good.
So I've been around and involved with this.
Okay. So the family farm dynamics are, who had Dr. Elvin Saney? All right, only two of you? That was a great class. Finance 600, right? He's energetic. I don't know who, you must have somebody else now then. Anyway, so what do you have? You have the shareholders, the stakeholders, and then the management, that type of thing. With a family farm, it's all one and the same. Shareholders, stakeholders, management. As opposed to a corporation, or your basic business corporation. This is small business here. That's the course title, but we can consider business and business, right? Uh-huh. In a business, you have the shareholders. You have management, which could also be a stakeholder, and they could also be a shareholder too. And whether it's conflict of interest, in a family farm, the family people want their hands out, but the managers want to spend more money on new crops or new product or new infrastructure. It's an age-old problem. It's an age-old problem. You want to put in a new irrigation system or something that's bigger and better. Doesn't matter what it is. A new, in the business world, a new production line. Or you want to have in your restaurant, you want to have a new stove that's faster and better than anything. So who pays for that? Well, that comes from the finance side. But this shareholders don't want to get rid of any money because they want to put it in their pocket, right? It's an age-old problem. You can apply it right down the line. The same thing happens on a family farm. We recently, I was sharing with Dr. Woods, we're going to. We just signed the deal. We're going to do a 1 megawatt power solar farm. It'll take about 5 acres, and that should help alleviate our peak price. Everybody's familiar with peak pricing. And as far as farmers, what I pay as an ag user of we're talking energy here now, from 12, this is during summer months, from 12, well, the 6 months. It's not summer months anymore. There's 6 months peak and 6 months off peak now. So from 12 until 6, that is kilowatt per hour. Kilowatt cost per hour is twice as much as the off-peak hours. Then there's mid-peak too. So our savings with utilizing the solar power it should pay off. The solar company said 4 years, but if it's 5, then we'll do that. The reason it can pay off is the tax benefits, 35% tax credit. That's another class. Do you have any real accountants in here? CPAs? No? No? Some wannabes? No? You're a wannabe, okay. So 35% tax credit is huge. And as a matter of fact, I don't even have to use that 35% tax credit this year or next year. I can string it along for 4 or 5 years. You can use parts of it. So that's what our government's doing in order to help boost renewable energy. Okay, they make a lot of new rules and such that the greenhouse gases and the emissions. So then here comes the regulatory problems. Regulatory problems are here. What's the biggest threat to the long-term viability of local farms? Who asked that question? Christopher's not going to be proud of that. Government.
Ryan, yeah.
Okay, Ryan. Okay. So he gave me 3 choices. What's the biggest long-term threat? Government policies, pesticides, or water? Yes. Okay, that's the short answer. Water, because with water will come regulation, and we'll get this water thing figured out so that we will quit the overdraft. You didn't hear me say that. That's why I don't want to hear this. It can be used against me.
I can cut that out later if you want. We can edit.
Or you could sell it to somebody at one point.
I'm not going to throw you under the bus like that, man.
We'll get this thing figured out as far as the pulling down of we will, at one point, we'll have a happy spot where when we get enough recharge, the answer to the drought, by the way, is storage, increased storage, more dams. At this point, 50% of the snow melt, the water runoff, runs out into the ocean. That's for environmental, and the other 50% is used for urban and ag. 10% to domestic, and then the 40% of that water. So you hear the stat that ag uses 80% of the water, 80% of the available water, 50% of that water runs out into the ocean. But that's another discussion, just like greenhouse gases would be another discussion. We can talk about food safety too, but that's not really business either. The farmers today have to be on their toes with all issues because they're all right in our face, each and every one of them. Whether it is immigration, which is labor, okay, you know, minimum wage just went up to $10, right? Okay. And the thought is that if the guy that was making $11 on December 31st, he should, on January 1st, he should theoretically be making $12 now, right? You're supposed to raise everybody up the same percentage. From $9 to $10, that's more than 10% raise. So we could figure it out. It's 11% raise, is that what it is? Okay. So theoretically, everybody's income comes up. Well, how does that happen when you don't have enough money on the other side just to pay for it? We're struggling to make that decision. We do our annual raises in May, so I haven't decided yet where those people that were making $12, if they're going to go up to $13 because there's a dollar raise. I don't know. I don't know what my neighbors are doing. Yes.
While you're discussing labor and minimum wage, how has ACA requirements affected you? Because you have to provide insurance, and that includes the seasonal laborers, and there are all these like major requirements, and it's had a huge impact in the valley, especially on our small agriculture business.
It has a huge impact on everything. We have 20 full-time employees, and I pay their insurance. Still, I do. Now, the seasonal employees, no, they're not required to at this point. They're required to have their own insurance, but the way that it works, and the software business has made a hell of a lot of money off of keeping track of part-time, seasonal, part-time, full-time, every other day in whatever other categories they have, and it's become confusing. The acronyms are wicked. Personal, there's paid time off, and then personal sick leave, and all of that stuff goes through me in the office because that's part of my job, and it's hard for a guy like me to keep up.
Did you guys not reduce labor?
Did we what?
Did you not reduce headcount because of the new, basically, human resources policy, because of like the insurance and how premiums skyrocketed as soon as that came into effect, as well as the place, California requires that you supply everyone with 24 hours of sick time.
Yes.
Were you guys not forced to reduce headcount?
Well, no, I'm keeping track of that now too. I'm attempting to. And do you do a rollover policy? Do you let them accumulate? Do you let them take it prior to, what's that called? Prior to accrual? Do you give it to them after 3 months and that type of thing? Then it gets overwhelming is what it does. For a simple farm that only has 20 employees, it gets overwhelming. The answer is to have a payroll paycheck company or something do it, but I'd like to be in control, I guess. So we've always done it this way. So there's a couple instances just within this last year. Personal sick time went to agriculture, also to everybody. The ACA. What was the other one? Oh, the minimum wage going up. You got to be on your toes around here. If it's been gone for 2 years, the simple side of agriculture and just the HR department, the payroll department significantly changed within 2 years. Much less the rules and regulations on pesticides. The water situation will change. I already mentioned that. We will get a handle on that. I don't want to bore you guys with a lot of farming type of things. So any business, what do you have? If you have one product, you're not very diversified, right? We have 13 cost centers on our 2,500 acre farm. Crop cost centers, 13 different crops. One of them is a new planting of almonds, and there's established almonds, and there's Thompson grapes, Fiesta grapes, Ruby Red grapes, Muscat grapes, potatoes, sweet potato, fresh potatoes, sweet potatoes, fall carrots, spring carrots, garlic, and wheat. There should be 13 in there. That's how we hedge type of thing. Now, when we also hedge with different. Some of the crops garlic, for instance, and tomatoes, we know what, not tomatoes, but garlic, we know what the price is going in. So all I have to do is achieve that level of 8 ton an acre of garlic, and then I'll that's my profit point. Okay, the profit point. Last year we had a disaster. The valley had a disaster in garlic. Did anybody buy a lot of garlic? Garlic price should be really expensive right now in this store. Nobody tracks garlic. Okay.
What was the disaster?
The warm. So we planted garlic. It is a cultural question. We got it from a guy from Indiana. We planted in October. It grows up a little bit. Then it's supposed to get cold and go dormant during Christmas. Okay, during January and February. And they're supposed to grow again. In other words, it makes a bulbing action, so it does grow. Yeah. Well, it never really went dormant during it. It kind of just grew half-assed. Excuse me. It just kind of grew all the way through the winter. It didn't stop, shut down, so it makes its bulbs or explode. So it was. Did you get that? Anyway, so things happen. Mother Nature, you're dealing with Mother Nature. If you don't over diversify yourself, though, sometimes it spins your head. That's what happens. But bankers like it. The other shareholders, the family members like it because they like to tell how many different crops they grow. My mother, my father, for one thing. Yeah.
How do you select your product mix?
How do I select what?
The product mix, which crops you're going to grow.
Well, rotation has a lot to do with it. So tomatoes, we'll plant those tomatoes on a field. We put subsurface irrigation. It's a drip tape. It's buried underneath the ground. You've heard about subsurface irrigation, drip irrigation, micro irrigation. We leave that there for 3 years. So that means that's decided. Then we rotate carrots, potatoes, and garlic with one another. Now, the potato guys don't like to follow the garlic field because sometimes potatoes smell like garlic. So I like garlic potatoes. I don't know.
Me too.
So you have a couple different things. You have to outsmart it. You have to outrun it. It has a lot to do with, we call it IPM, Integrated Pest Management. Let me talk about that. Can I talk about farming a little bit?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Can I suggest a segue there too?
Yeah.
So the crowdfunding projects that I told
Oh
you.
yeah.
The like Derek's question about like whether you donated to or fund. Not so much that question right now, although we will eventually like follow up with you about that question directly. But as we've been talking about how we could best position and market this community garden, we thought that, I mean, basically, if we can't do innovative things with the community garden in Cal State Bakersfield in the middle of Kern County, there's something wrong.
Okay.
So anything that you think would be interesting as an innovative thing to do with that garden, it's like we're in the idea stage right now of what to do with that space to maximize the story we're telling here.
You want to talk about this now? You guys have 43,560 square feet, right?
I.e. 1 acre?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 1 acre, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything on it already? Anything on it now? What do you plan on putting on it?
We're planning on paving walkways and doing raised bed planters, and then we're going to have an outline with a variety of trees.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our basic.
Okay. Raised planters and then pathways and walkways.
In between them,
And do you have a water source?
Yes.
You will need water here in
We're getting
Bakersfield.
water from Cal State, so Cal State's going to provide that.
Oh, sweet.
Yes.
What's your planting date or harvest date or?
But we're going to have a variety of crops. We're going to have a variety of there. We're actually going to leave that up. It's probably going to team up with Botany Department.
And you know, radishes are the fastest. We've never grown radishes commercially.
Not very many
They're the
states are
quickest.
wanting to take radishes.
Okra, who likes okra? Okra, as they say in Oregon.
Carrots,
You know, there's quite a few different vegetables that you just. Okay, you can grow some types of carrots. Potatoes are going to be tough. They're really going to be tough unless you culturally really know what you're doing. You might have a good time.
What's so tough about is it potatoes?
Yeah.
What's so tough
The
about that?
soil and the drainage, and you'll still have potatoes. They won't be marketable in Costco. But
What about
tomatoes? Yeah, plants that you can get. I don't know if the soil. You'll get transplant plants, correct? Probably, right? Probably, and they'll grow off better for you. Get the varieties that are resistant to many of the soil diseases. Nematodes for one. Nematode is not a disease; it's a microscopic insect, but you can get in the Phytophthora resistant ones. So,
Yeah, we only have 48 5x10 plant boxes, so we're going to have to really be strategic in what we're planting, and it's going to have to kind of be geared toward what students want, and so it is for the campus. So if they want to over, but I mean, you're going to get in there, pick their lunch if we need to live there.
yeah. So it's going to be geared for what would be consumed on campus.
Yeah, fruits and vegetables really be great to what people want.
Can I
What can grow.
jump in to augment that slightly?
I'm sorry?
I was going to say I'm going to jump in to augment that slightly. Yes, I think part of the question is what do students want? I also think part of the question is what do farms like Kent Stenderup want? Because it would be it'd be interesting. What could we do that is useful, innovative? Theoretically, if we're not doing sort of cutting edge stuff with our garden in Kern County, it doesn't look good on what Cal State represents in the bigger picture. So I would think part of it is what the students want. Part of it is what would be interesting and useful to do with that space in the context of the rest of agriculture in this
We
county.
have a unique hydroponic system we're talking about, and perhaps having research areas for the botany.
There you go.
Those departments are, to have ideas like that.
Justin had your hand up. I think Eric, you started to say something too.
Oh, no,
Okay.
I got Justin, we will.
I was wondering, what about fruit? Do you plan to include fruit?
Oh, yeah. We have over 110 trees are going to be basically encircling.
Oh, so you have a good plan already. Okay.
Yeah, you want to see?
Yeah.
Yeah, so far we've mapped it out, planned it out. We've got the number of bricks, how much soil we're going to need, everything. So,
Okay. So you're that far along. Okay. I didn't. Now,
Yeah,
now I'm catching on. You guys are.
They're picking up a plan which had been developed by earlier students too, so it's quite far along. But I would love to get more input from somebody who does this as their business and has been doing so for years. It'd be really interesting to see what you think of the plan.
The what is it? Not to piggyback or Grimway. Grimway across from Buena Vista School has that.
Uh-huh.
Would they be cooperative or?
What, they have a garden across from whatever school?
Yes, like
Yeah,
Grimway.
we had been talking in the last meeting we had about the fact that Grimway, other large players in the area are it's cooperating with a lot of primary and secondary schools to do similar stuff. We were going to reach out to the schools too, find out what they're doing and see how it synergizes. But
I think Barbara Grimm planted that stuff, though. Just planted that stuff. Yeah, she's rich enough to do that.
They have an acronym or something for it too. It's a part of their program. That they have the Grimm Academy in Armin, and then also across from Buena Vista School. I'm not quite sure what they call it.
At the schoolyard.
Pardon?
At the end of the schoolyard.
That's it. There you go. Yeah. Marshall works there.
Yeah, teacher. Yeah.
Right. He's got a connection.
yeah, I know he's on the project too, so there's good overlap there.
Okay, where was I? Where are we headed?
I think we were talking about crop rotation and crop diversification before I commandeered your.
That's just like having multiple products or multiple abilities to do something. Say you're a service company, you don't just fix flat tires, you also put new tires on, and you fix brakes, worn brakes, and turn the rotors. Okay? You don't just fix flat tires. You have to be diversified and do a few other things. Whether you're a new startup business, let's see, software companies, maybe they're a little more focused on one particular type of software. I'm not sure. That would be beyond me, but at one point, here's an example. For years and years, Grimway said we're only going to do one thing and we're going to do it right. It was only carrots. Now that's long gone now. In the last 15 years, they've branched out. They're the largest organic grower in the country, I believe. And other products that they have hot houses and greenhouses and properties all over. But for the longest time, it was simply wonderful. Paramount. I don't know if there's anybody here affiliated with Paramount. Very good stewards.
Brian, I believe, works there.
Stewards of the industry. Stewards. Yeah. They basically got their start when they rolled the dice on the almonds from 25 years ago. And look at them now, and it is not just. They had no citrus until they bought the Belridge stuff, I believe. They were strictly almonds, and then the pistachios, and then the citrus. So even the largest, they don't continue. They build what they have with the one product, one crop, one product, and then you branch out a little bit eventually. I think you just about have to do that. Questions?
Jesse.
Crop prices have been, generally speaking, pretty high lately. I know almonds are dropping. Do you think that's the new norm, or do you think we're at a peak?
The price of almonds or the what?
Generally speaking, grains have been high, pistachios have been high, almonds have been high the last 3-4 years. Do you think it's causing a bubble, or do you think they can sustain?
I think that the almonds were too darn high in the first place. Going to store a pound of processed almonds were $10. Come on, that's not necessary. The growers don't need that much money. No grower. It was ridiculous. And so what happened was on the other end, they said, well, we'll fix this. They just quit accepting deliveries even on whether your stories. So when you sell a product, particularly overseas, particularly in the Middle East, you didn't sell it until you had that money in your bank account. And your bank says, yes, you have the money. So what happens is when things get overblown and too high, cotton went up to $1 a pound one year. Everybody thought they were selling their cotton for $1 a pound. Usually cotton's at 55 or 60 cents. It went up to $1. By the time the cotton got to where it was going, the textile mills where they make the thread prior to making the garments, the buyers reneged on it. So, and that happens with any commodity in any world. And that's what happened in almonds. It has since corrected itself. It will settle back down at $3.50 instead of $5 a pound to the grower. And it will be more palatable to the consumer for years to come. And then we'll switch back over to peanuts. You realize almonds were the #1 snack nut beginning 2 years ago? Overtook peanuts. Peanuts are a lot cheaper to grow, a lot less expensive. They're grown underground, kind of like a potato.
That 350 estimate that you're providing, are you?
See, don't tape this stuff. She's going to go report back to Paramount.
I don't work there anymore, so you're
Okay.
safe. But are you talking about general? Because nonpareil obviously go for a much higher price versus like a Monterey, and then you know what I mean. So nonpareil go for much higher, especially in the higher sizes that Costco and Sam's Club want. And with the water shortage, you're just not getting that size anymore because your trees are stressed, and so you get
20 to 22.
right. You're not, and so
Unless you have
and
enough
that's what
water.
they want.
Unless you have enough water.
Exactly.
Or maybe you should plant less acres. Instead of planting that whole 80-acre lot, just plant 70 of it so you have enough water
Yeah.
to grow big nuts. Where's the trade-off there?
Well, it's hard,
That's
right?
what you have to think. Do you want as many nuts as possible, or do you want larger, more palatable, the bigger nuts which fetch?
A lot more
The
money.
bring back a lot
Yeah.
more money, you know, so you're gonna have to look at that and figure that out, and somebody will help you with that, and it might be the right decision, it might not be. So if you only have so much water, well, let's just not plant that last field or something like that, and save our water instead of trying to plant wall to wall. And you're right, the nonpareil, that's the female variety, by the way, guys. And then the male variety is the Monterey. And Fritz, Fritz is a pretty flower, you know that.
Well, yeah, I use for like your byproduct, right?
What's that?
That's what's used for flour and byproduct, like your sliver and things like that, depending on who you're selling to.
So what was your position at Paramount?
I was a senior financial analyst for almonds.
Oh, so you would analyze stuff
I know
like
all
that.
the almonds
Okay.
stuff.
Wow. Okay. What's the price today?
I don't know. I'm potatoes.
So she worked for the second largest almond handler.
Mm-hmm. Who's the Blue Diamond? You said.
Yes.
Who's the largest?
Blue Diamond.
Well, who's the second
I work
largest?
for Wonderful.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay.
Now I work for.
Blue Diamond is a different business model than Paramount. I'm a family farm with 25 acres, my family. Paramount, we'll call it Paramount / okay, Wonderful. It also can be known as a family farm. In some statisticians, if they're trying to spin it right, you guys know about that, spin it. So when they say 90% of California almonds are owned by family farmers, not corporate farms, that means that Wonderful is a family farm. For that matter, Old House is no longer a family farm. It's now owned by Campbell's, right? I mean, a lot of people know that. And in between, it was owned by a couple of different, what do we call those people? Equity funds or something like that.
Private equity.
Venture funds. Grimway's still a family farm. They're huge, but they're still a family farm. We would call Paramount a family farm too, if we want to use that in our argument to the public. You know, the warm fuzzy feeling that 90% of California almonds are grown by family farmers. We'll use that. Blue Diamond Almonds is a cooperative. Anybody familiar with a cooperative business model? That allows, go ahead, explain it.
Basically, it's owned by neighbors. It's almost like a credit union. If you buy into it, then in order to use it, you have to be an owner.
Blue Diamond, and I'm just going to name a few. Ocean Spray, juice, all their juices, that's a co-op.
Cool.
Land of Lakes Butter is a co-op. Sun-Made Razors is a co-op. Blue Diamond Almonds is a co-op. There's a lot of other ones. California Dairies, which includes Danish Creamery and some of those other ones. It enables those dairy growers or almond farmers like me to be on the same competitive level as the Paramount. Okay? Because there's Blue Diamond that literally has 3,000 members. Some of them have 5 or 10 acres. Okay? But they are a bona fide Blue Diamond member. So their contribution is their nuts that year. So she had for 10 acres, she had 2,000 pounds per acre, right? How many pounds is that then? 20,000 pounds that she sent to Blue Diamond. Blue Diamond sold them across the world and brought back her share. With her share, she had 20,000 shares for every pound of the share type of thing. Okay? That's how the cooperative model works. That's how it works in the dairy industry also. It enables, and there's marketing cooperatives, there's processing cooperatives. Blue Diamond is a processor also in this case. And then there's also buying cooperatives where you can go out and buy bulk fertilizer, or they even do it with energy now. There's buying cooperatives with energy, buying bulk natural gas and electricity, which is way above me. You have to be a, what is it, operations analyst, what were you? Senior financial analyst. You'd have to be something like that in order to figure that one out.
Indeed.
I guess I'm the senior financial analyst too. among other things.
You wear every hat.
Yeah, every hat. That's the business model of the co-op. It's the American way, let's say that. Let's hold on to that. But it allows us to compete and sell to the Costco's of the world and the Walmarts and to compete against. I'm not ever going to say anything bad about Paramount, but I just use them as an example because a lot of people realize that they're huge. They don't sell as many almonds annually as Blue Diamond because Blue Diamond has 3,000 members. But they're the largest single entity. Okay? And they're very, like I said, very good stewards. They have all sorts of PhDs working for them. There's a PhD bee guy, Mary Wardell. And they have Brad Higby. He does mating disruption. Okay, speaking of integrated pest management, so this is a new buzzword. You guys are going to hear it first unless you've already known something about it. We spray a lot of pesticides, whether it's almonds or whatever we're spraying, okay? Integrated pest management are the tools that we use to not spray as much by rotation of ground, that type of thing, by planting at different areas. That's integrated. We're integrating any management tool, best management tool we have. So, pheromone mating disruption. Navel orangeworm is a terrible one for almonds. It's also bad for the oranges, navel oranges too. But this is a new thing that they've really, Brad Higby at Paramount was not the pioneer, but they use, so the female, when she's flying around, when she's during that mating time where she's ready to be mated, they use these puffers that have these canisters, like an aerosol canister that sprays out this pheromone that smells just like the female. And the males are disrupted. They don't know, they can't find the female. She's only, I almost said, okay, she's only breedable for a number of hours. I don't know enough about it. But if you fertile, there we go. Thank you, there we go. For a number of hours, and if you can disrupt that stuff, you'll lose all the populations, and then they naturally go away in hand. We quit spraying as much as we have to, and it really works. So we're going to try a 160-acre experiment ourselves this year, following in the footsteps of what somebody like Paramount's done, because they are early innovators. Is it early innovators? They're not early adopters. They're at the top. They're innovators. Innovators? Okay. And I'm trying to be somewhere in the middle, early adopter. I'm trying to be, but my family members hold me back because they're late arrivers. So they probably help me, keep me from getting in trouble sometime. So that's mating disruption. That's what that means. It's simple. It should work. You have, per acre, you'll have 2 of those canisters. It's an aerosol canister. You know, you guys have seen them up in corners of rooms before, maybe public restrooms or something. And it's an emitter, and it's on a timer. It'll only spray during whatever it is, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. when they're flying, or whenever they fly. I don't know enough about it yet. But it seems like steps in the right direction. Less spraying and that type of thing. But also, some of these darn bugs that we fight are getting resistant to some of our. We try not to use organic phosphates because of other carcinogens. Okay, the pyrethroids, which is a real ugly word, pyrethroid. That sounds wicked, doesn't it?
It sounds dangerous.
Yeah. So some of
Is there a test for
some of
that?
the insects are getting resistant. You know, you've heard about even though some of the weeds are getting resistant to Roundup, right? You've heard stuff like that. So you have to keep moving, you keep rotating, keep changing. Yes?
Yeah, nothing. I'm just browsing through some of the questions that haven't been addressed yet.
Okay. What? Okay, talked about the bees. Rebecca?
That's Rebecca.
We have,
Wave your hand, Rebecca.
that's Rebecca. Okay, she's concerned about the honeybees. Okay? Look up Project Apis M when you get home tonight.
BPIS?
If you wish.
You got one there?
This will tell you how great we are about bees, and Dory Wardell will a lot with that. APIS, capital M. It's Latin to me, so that consortium of beekeepers in the world, the stakeholders in the bee world, pollinate. The world's largest pollination event is going on here right now. There are bees from 48 states in California, from the new outlet stores to Reading. There are how many? There's 2.5 million hives here right now. Each hive has 50,000 bees in it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a hell of a lot of bees.
Where?
No, from the Central Valley. Central Valley. Yeah. You see those white boxes? They're too high. There's 50,000 bees in there. It's a two-story. It's a duplex. Okay, and they're that high. And there's 50,000 in there. They don't start flying until. We didn't teach you this. 54 degrees. They won't leave their hive until it's 54 degrees. It's very important for us to have healthy bees, otherwise we don't get around to pollinate. We need the pollen from the Monterey variety to be carried over to the female variety, the nonpareil. The Project 8%, if you want to look at it, that's a research group that does a lot of bee health. So there's 48 states. I remember last year, as the bees only come here for 4 weeks. Our bees came from Montana. They spent the winter here in the foothills. They live in Montana. And last year, in March, they loaded up the truck. They only take them at night. They only drive it. What is it? They only drive to daytime and park at night because they stay in the hive at night. Keeps them in there. They were going to Maine to pollinate blueberries. They said, "Can't look at that truck. It's going to Maine to pollinate blueberries." I said, "That's about as far as they can go." He said, "Yeah, it's just about as far as you can go in the continental U.S." There's bees from 48 states that come for this pollination event every year. Beekeepers make their money off of us, and then the honey on the side is the gravy for them. So we pay $185 to rent that hive for 3 to 4 weeks. But we can expense it, so it's not a capital cost. We don't have to depreciate 50,000 bees in whatever the bee life cycle is. That's for you.
It's relatively short, isn't it? The bee life cycle?
It must be real quick, yeah. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. That's getting above my knowledge. So we have to be responsible for the bees, especially when President Obama, or was it Michelle or something, said we need to be better to our bees because it's very important. And pollination isn't just important for our commercial crops, it's even more important out in nature itself. Okay, we talked about some of the different products that we have. We have some, I did mention this, I think. Some of the crops are contracted at a price, and then some are on the open market, right? Did we talk about that? Garlic.
I don't know if it got discussed.
I get 19.5 cents per pound of garlic, so that should be, that's what we get for the garlic. It's contracted prior. Some of the other crops we sell in the open market, whatever the price is that day, which would be almonds, the potatoes and the sweet potatoes are sold in the market. The carrots can be grown in a different contract, whether you grow per ton or you participate in the open market. That's how we hedge our portfolio. And it is a portfolio. It's just a bunch of crops, but it's a portfolio. Think about it that way. Sometimes we're a little too diversified. Like I said earlier, we had 13 cost centers.
Okay, we got another question.
Oh, I thought it was you. Yes, sir.
when you talk about the contracts for different crops, I'm wondering about the bee pollination services. Do you have a contract or is it open market or both?
We have a contact. Our beekeeper is known as Big Sky Honey. He's from Montana. Father-son operation. We've been with him for the last 10 years since we've been growing almonds. He extorts money from us annually. The beekeepers they get together and say, let's raise it $5 a hive this year, and they do. I can't do anything about it. And I also don't know if there's 50,000 bees in there.
Is there any sort of regulation?
No, it's not regulated. There's testing that can be done, but that's not regulated. I don't know if we want that regulated. Yeah?
I was thinking that antitrust legislation doesn't allow you to price fix, but apparently you can do that for them.
Well, you can't price fix. No, that would be illegal, but we can tell our buddies, we need to raise it. It was at $155 not too long ago, but now it's $185. Depending on who you talk to, and how many frames are in there, and how many bees are actually in there. That's one of the largest, biggest unknowns for farmers is there's supposed to be about 50,000 bees in there. Yeah, how are you going to count it?
Jesse, did you have your hand up?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
For my final project for MBA, that's what we did here at Cal State. We took an infrared gun and we thought we could see how big that spot was, decide, count how many bees were there. You got an A on the project. Dr. Adderman, you guys have him?
Yeah, he told us about the project.
He's what?
He actually mentioned the project.
Did he?
Yep.
He said he didn't know why he gave you a hay.
Okay, another question.
So your undergrad is from Stanford, and your undergrad is
My
from
undergrad, yes.
Stanford, right? And then your MBA is from Cal State.
Cal State, there you go.
So coming from an Ivy League and then a local school, do you think that the name and reputation makes a difference in the degree that you receive?
I'm very proud of both educations. Honestly, I was going to, I should have gotten I wish I would have proceeded with the MBA earlier, and maybe it worked out perfectly for this time of my life for me able to. I didn't have to skip a beat with everything else. We got our kids raised, and both of them graduated from college, and then I went back to school. That's exactly how it worked. And by that time, as far as my MCAT,
GMAT.
that would be doctor, wouldn't it? Yeah, that would have been very good score either. But by that time, I don't know what my score would have been. So, well, I know what it was, but in order to qualify for an Ivy League, no, yeah, I got the MBA education I needed, and I'm just very happy for it. Yes, sir.
I was going to say something to her question. Starclass Porter mentioned an article by The Economist that talked about the education of Ivy League versus Cal State, and they showed the correlation of income later in life based on where you went, and there's actually hardly any correlation based on the school. They did find a huge correlation between the GPA of the student and the income. So whether they went to Harvard and they got a 1.9, it was the same as the student who went to Cal State and got a 1.9.
I think it just depends on your industry. Like when you're in the corporate world, they like Ivy League and they like Big Four experience and they like hiring people from their alumni. And so
That's the sad reality of it.
It is how it is. So.
Say hi to Dr. Sark for me.
No, I'm not.
By the way, if you ever, it worked with Dr. Sark. I needed it. What was it? It was Steve Theory. What's the course he teaches? Managerial skills.
Yeah, he teaches operations and business management.
there's another one too. One that has all the different. Anyway, if you can incorporate one of his academic articles in there, no matter how far you have to stretch it. You guys have never figured out how that. You have a professor that's published. You have to have one that's published.
I am.
There are articles, research articles in there. No matter how far you have to stretch it, it always works.
No one seems to have figured that out with me yet.
What? They haven't. Nobody's ever done that.
No, but I don't talk about my publications that much in here.
You remember last year I kept telling you to email me your article, email me because I couldn't find your publication? You're like,
Yeah, it's out there now. I can finally send you. Well, it took a long time for me to get finished.
I don't need it now.
Oh well. So, can I bring up a couple other questions?
Please do.
Haven't. I don't know. We've touched on it to greater and lesser extent. So, you talked a lot about almonds, but Neda, can you raise your hand? Neda actually asked, if an investor is looking into investing in almond farms, what steps should she take? Like you talked about the business of farming almonds, but like sort of a different angle. Almonds as an investment opportunity.
Almonds are a great investment. It's something that's you millennials will be eating for a long, long time. There's a lot of health benefits to almonds, we know that. And it has a good shelf life, so it can be stored for a number of years if necessary. So you're not dealing with something perishable, right? You know, a product that's perishable. If things go bad, you can't hold on to it and ride out the price. There's a lot of investment going on now today of outside money. It makes it hard on people like me, whether it's the hedge funds, the teachers' retirement funds. They own acres all around here now that we didn't even know about. They've been buying from former family farmers and other farmers. If you're interested, yes, there's plenty of ag real estate people in the phone book, or I can give you some names. There's two of them that come to mind right off the bat. It's pretty expensive. Acre of open ground, almond ground. Okay, just use this. 8 years ago it was probably $8,000 an acre. Now it's probably over $20,000 an acre. Okay, it's gone that much. So.
And if you buy now at 20, is it going to go up that much more? Or is...
Well, I don't think people are going to pay more than they won't pay $5 for almonds anymore because they quit on that when it got that high. I think it's reached that point. I think it's just right there.
Okay.
So, just depends how long of it, you know. Warren Buffett, who's the other guy? Yeah, well, Warren Buffett said a few years ago, I would buy ag land before I buy gold. You know, he's a big guru on when to buy gold, I think. I would buy ag land before I buy gold because God's not making it anymore. Well, he's not making either one of them anymore, but that was his point, something like that. And at that point, a lot of outside money started investing in farmland. So, kind of got a little crazy. Not that he instigated it, but that was the mindset. So.
Based on your experience, would you think it's a good investment?
Is it still a good investment?
Is it good investment or not really at this point?
Depends what you can buy it for. No, it's a very good investment. Right? Yeah. You expect it to pay for itself. You're going to have to, how many years you want to pay off? You want to do 30 years, you want 10 years type of thing. You know, almonds at, you run the numbers, at $5 and you produce 3,000 pounds an acre, 15,000 a year, and it'll cost you $4,000 an acre, so you have 11,000 acres to go back to the farm. Right? That could happen, but it's not going to be $5. You know, use $3 a pound at 2,500 pounds, because we don't know what this drought's going to do. We might have to cut back our acres. You know, so you've got to have your, what's it called in the account? You got to, your points, whatever your points are going to be. You're going to use $4, what if it's
2,000 pounds an acre. No, I can live with that. But that's how we've stayed in business since 1927 still. And we've just muddled through it like that, and that's what we become late adopters, right? We're not at the forefront. We've been around longer than Fairmont, Old House and Grimway, but we're a hell of a lot smaller. Okay? Anyway,
That's an interesting thought.
Nina, does that answer your question? Actually, Trigger, just a second. Were you starting to raise your hand, Des? I thought I saw, like, okay.
Go ahead, raise your hand, Doug. You can now. He gave you permission.
Draco, you're. That's okay. Draco. Okay, cool. Draco, what was your question?
So speaking, you had mentioned co-ops earlier. Are you part of a co-op?
Yeah, a few co-ops. So Blue Diamond Almonds, I'm involved with that. And then we have really great products. We sell great juice concentrate. Did I talk about that? No, we didn't. Okay, great juice concentrate. You know all the table grapes that are around here? Well, you only pick 70 to 80% of those grapes, and then you have these other grapes that they call strippings, the culls. Well, we take those, and we take Thompson seedless or the Fiestas and stuff. And we just make grape juice concentrate out of it. Grape juice concentrate, remember that, as opposed to corn syrup. Oh, there's wine. One in every. There she is. Okay. She's thirsty. Grape juice concentrate. Yeah, and what happens is we're working on a deal. We sell it to wineries also. They reconstitute it and they get fermented. We don't ferment it as per se. As opposed to high fructose corn syrup. The corn syrup, it's just a natural sweetener. You put it in. Smuckers is a big customer. Ocean Spray. This is one of the co-ops. So that's the one we're in. Cal.com. Yes, sir.
Are you currently looking to expand, and are you currently looking for investors? And if not, do you know companies that are?
I'm not looking for investors because it is family owned, and I will continue to be family owned. At one point, I might say, yeah, if I could sell out, you know, what do you call an investor?
Sure.
Yeah. So what was the first question?
And then expansion. Are you looking to expand?
I'm always expanding. We are always expanding.
How do you
And
find
we just
expansion?
expand a little slower than the rest of them. And I really haven't ever been in trouble, financially. We're that conservative, but we make it through. Yes, sir.
How do you decide whether to finance an expansion or to try to pay for it your own cash
That's
flow?
a really good question. We've been able to do most of ours just paying out of the general account. In other words, don't plant that new orchard until you make it work by, have everything else come along. I don't do development project. I am doing a development line of credit with the new solar project. This 1 megawatt is a $2 million project. Who's financing that?
This question comes from the banker, by the way.
Who's financing our banker?
Where are you at in Arvin?
Which is also a co-op. Does that give you a hint?
Where am I at, Arvin? 1/2 a mile west of Arvin. You know what 7-Eleven is? Who asked me that?
I
You want to know where I am? You know where we're at, man?
Well, I know where the-
Just west of Arvin.
What's like?
Malaga Road.
Oh, okay.
Oh, your other Bibles in Newtown.
Or where like I know.
We are, I'm on the other end of it. Okay?
Draco, were you starting to raise your hand? Like I saw Kayleen too. I don't know if that was your question. Go ahead, both of you.
So for someone who doesn't have a lot of that industry, but they're just like expertise and they're just curious, can we come to a tour?
Of course. Come with Dr. Woods.
Can we take some of the
The grape juice. And come at a nice time of year. Yes, sir.
What is your mission? So,
Our mission?
what drives you?
No, this is not like the world.
No.
Keep the bees happy. It's a family.
You say keep the bees happy?
Huh?
Did you say keep the bees
Feed
happy?
the world and keep the bees happy.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought you said. Cool.
That's what I said. In reality, it's a family business to provide income to the family, members of the family. And,
So we should teach children before season.
I would hope someday, my son's 30 years old, he's not involved in farming yet. Top Pollination graduate, our daughter went to the University of Oregon. She lives in San Francisco. John works for C.H. Robinson out of Monterey. So, yeah.
And you don't have any employees that are not going to?
No, just my cousin is my partner, so we don't have any employees.
I think you said 20.
I have 20 employees. I'm sorry.
Do you have any that are not related to?
None of those 20 are related to me.
So just
They're
the
not
ownership part.
they're not shareholders,
Right, okay.
and they're really not stakeholders. But they have pride in the farm, and a lot of them have been with us for over 30 years.
But they don't have that option of buying.
No.
So, I'm going to throw, like, it's 8:34. You've gone for just about an hour.
Too long.
No. I like, this is, the more you talk, the better for me. I got a couple more questions I wanted to make sure we get to.
The business
And I wanted to make
question,
sure to leave a little bit of time at the end for a couple things I need to go over with the students. But we got maybe 15 more
You
minutes.
want me to sit down?
No, 15 minutes.
I appreciate the business question. You know, you said that you're going to plant a new orchard. You already own the land. It's a development. You're going to do this development. It'll take you 5 years until you get full production. You'll start getting some income after the third year. How do you do it? Well, you do it the best you can. You can stretch yourself thin, which is what we've been known for doing, and not take out that additional loan. Just try to make it with what's in your wallet or what you have coming in the next few years. You do the development loan, and that's how you get bigger faster, right? You'll a new form of financing. This would be El Husseini would be better explaining one like this, but the method, so creating additional source of income with a different development loan, no matter what the bank is.
Ryan, would you hand up before?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to jump in with a question that you sort of answered, sort of not, but I'd like to hear more of it. It was from Shannon, actually. What's the most difficult component of running a farm? Like, both yours and sort of more big picture philosophically, the business of farming. What's the
component? I'll go back to the regulatory, the water, and the pesticides. The water at this point, it scares the heck out of me. There will be rules, and this is regulatory again. There will be rules and regulations to get this thing straightened out. I've got a lot of neighbors that are spending to drill a well. It's cost probably $500,000 to drill a new well. You'll see all sorts of wells being drilled around here right now. Those guys are really, and they're what's it, Gladstone Equity Company. So outside, that's what I call outside money. It's a REIT. Who's familiar with a REIT? Real estate investment. What is it? Real estate investment trust. That's it. So that's what they are, and they're sinking some wells, 3 wells between us and the town of Arvin on our eastern boundary, and they're putting them deeper than my wells. So what's going to happen with this regulatory? What's going to happen with the water? Are my wells going to start drying up? And them with their deep pockets, because they are well funded. They started out with a lot of money, somebody else's money, and here I am trying to compete against them. Who can put? They're going deeper. Their straw's longer than mine to get the water. When the new regulations come out with water, will it be the above ground acre? Each of these squares is allowed 1 cupful of water every year. Is that what it's going to be? Or you already have these existing wells, you're only allowed to use them 80% of what you've been using them. So they have a historical value. These guys are over drilling, what they're doing. It scares me. I might get lost in the shuffle on this one. And then what will I do? Then I'll sell out to somebody.
So I think, like in order, it was Ryan, then Tracy, then Eric.
Yeah, Ken, are you guys, besides what you drill and what you get for yourself, are you getting any other water?
Yeah, we have surface water also. It comes out of Lake Isabella. Has anybody been up to Lake Isabella recently? Pond. This pond is an ugly pond. It's really, really, really sad. The Current River comes down, and there's a canal that runs from Bakersville out towards Arvin, and that's where we get our surface water from. Also, Arvin Edison is part of this project over there too. But we utilize as much surface water. That was engineered in the 1880s. They built it with mules from Bakersville. It goes all the way almost to Arvin. Gravity, no pumps. Gravity flow, which is very impressive. Who's the next question?
Tracy, over there.
So you were saying this other company that has more funds than you, they're looking at their railroad, usually yours, and there's a potential of your water source drying up. What is that?
It's a
Is
fear,
that like
it's a threat.
inevitable? Like, is there something that was regulated?
There's nothing that says you can't do that now. No. What about all those farming communities, those little communities up near Porterville, that all their domestic water went out? Because the growers, sucked all the water out. Because their domestic well only went to 200 feet because that's all they ever needed to do is go 200 feet. And the farmer comes in, most of our pumps are in our area are 400 feet. So when that water level goes down, once he's past the 200 feet, that little domestic, there's 5 houses or 10 houses or 20 houses. You've seen little communities that have one irrigation system. There's some out in the northwest of Bakersfield. They share a domestic well, and they run out of water. Yeah, where did water go? Well, it went in those fields over there. Well, it's not illegal to pump. It's free. Water's free. You got to pull it out yourself. It's a sad deal. It will be fixed one of these days, and I hope it's done equitably. I don't want to get on those boards or whatever it is. I'd rather be on the fun stuff like the almond board and stuff like that. But it's going to take a lot of work to get that done right. So should that, like I said, each of these squares, does it get 1 cup of water a year? But that guy has 6 squares that anyway. But he has all these big pumps. Can you only use them certain times of the year? Almonds need water.
You just come in and run down the river.
You want to be out of business?
In theory.
Yeah. Could, possibly. Unless they set up this water thing underground. We don't have anybody that knows more about this than I do in here. That's too bad. But what's that water? Whose water is that underneath there? Okay? So you can, if you own the dirt on top of it, you can drill down and you can put the biggest, you can have, I have 1,000 acres and you have 5 acres next to me. You can put the biggest well in the world on it and transfer that water. Usually they don't let you transfer out of county, but you can transfer anywhere else in Kern County. On your 10 acres, it sucked my 1,000 acres dry because your well was that much bigger and deeper. Now we're getting to the politics of water. What's Chinatown, right? Everybody see Chinatown?
Good movie. Eric, I want to make sure to get to Eric, and then Garrett just raised his hand
Yeah,
too.
speaking of the politics of water, I got a customer that farms in Arvin too, and he's concerned about the riparian rights that he has on the water. Are you?
Well, that would be out of Kern River.
It's not really Arvin Edison.
Okay.
Are you concerned about that at all? Why and why
When you
not?
say recurring rights, what would he have as far as the historical?
The historical riparian rights on his land that he owns.
Well, so he's in a zone where the water drains.
Kind of like that, yeah.
Okay.
Does that affect you at all?
No, I'm not down the flat. I'm on the other side of Arvin. I don't have anything like that. But maybe we know the area you're at. By the rock power.
Does that answer your question, Eric?
Yeah.
Garrett.
What's your opinion on using essentially produced water from the oil fields on your fields? I
Steve will figure it out. I'm sorry, what was the question?
You mean find one? Yeah. No, what's your opinion on using the produced water from local operations?
I think our science can figure that out real quick if it has any effect on it. I think it's that needs to be, we need to find out before we continue the discussion. So, if you put produced water, whatever the percentage is, there's some districts doing it right now. Which is supposedly not putting it on root crops, which come in contact with it, right? So what does it transfer up in my almonds or your pistachios or your grapes? Does it? Does anybody know? No, let's find out. I think the work's being done on that. Now,
Whether or not
is
the
it in
results of it are taken in full effect, whether it's good or bad, that's a different story. I think we can have an answer, but whether or not
Well, there's
we got the way.
There's certain communities in Europe, I believe, that are just double thumbs down on it right off the bat. You can't have this because it's produced water. But they're not even using the science to discuss it.
They're just saying that.
They're just saying it's bad for you because it came from oil.
But hey, the point of it right now, some of these producers can make more money by selling clean water than they can by selling oil.
Well, there you go.
So it is a viable option as far as diversifying.
It's a great option, but we need to find out if it has any
You
effect
should
on
shun it.
our root crops. Those are root crops and in the grapes, alfalfa. How the hell can it hurt alfalfa? Right? Well, that's the real. So I don't know, or a grain, small grain.
There may be a lot of spec chemicals and carbonates and things like that.
In the produced water.
Yeah. Like it would have to be highly regulated.
The oil industry, first of all, whoever invented the word fracking, he must have thought he was really clever that day. It's the dumbest term, for PR, public relations, and reputation management.
I'll be the first one to say it. We're awful at public relations. We treat everybody.
So they thought it was clever.
as an idiot.
Because fracking sounds like you know what. So that this
Well,
was
actually, it comes, the technical term for fracking is fracturing.
Yes, yeah. And we know that. But let's come up with a softer, kinder word for what we're really doing because it might be used against us. That's my point. So,
It's not the most user-friendly word for PR
no,
communities.
it's not. It's reputation management.
We've got about 15 minutes to go. I have a few things to go over with the students before, they leave. There's one question. There's a couple questions they didn't get to. I'm actually curious. Julian asked a question, and as a business model, I'm curious what the answer is. He asked how much sales and marketing is involved in your business.
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
What are your methods for that? Because honestly, a lot of it is about a commodity and being part of the.
And I had that circled on my note. So when I do a contract price with the garlic company, whichever garlic company it is, or Del Monte, they're handling the sales and marketing on their side. And then if I'm a member of whether it's Sun-Made raisins or Blue Diamond almonds, I'm a member of that. We hired the CEO and the marketing team. I don't personally do any marketing. I don't have a label that says Stenderup Ag Partners homegrown wheat. We don't have. Personally, we're not a packer shipper. Grimway and Bolthouse are packer shippers. Okay? Then you see other labels. We don't have a label. We're a nondescript family farm. We just grow for other people. That's our business model. We don't have that risk of trying to carry a whole potato line through a whole year. We just grow potatoes for another guy. He puts his name on it. And then he makes it. Okay? That's how we. We're a nondescript family farm with not a packer seller. Doesn't say.
Do you carry the expenses, or are the expenses included in your contract price?
For which?
For any of your commodities?
Well,
Do you
I'm
share
sure
those
I'll help
expenses?
pay for it. Because they're
Do they give you a percentage, or how do you do that?
on the fresh. Yeah, we participate in it. Sometimes a business model is known as a joint venture.
Right.
So you have the packing house, but you want me to grow them for you. So you put up $1,000, and I put up $1,000 an acre because it costs us $2,000 an acre to grow an acre of potatoes.
Right.
And then we harvest them. You run them through your shed. And it takes $500. There's $2,500 involved in it. And then the proceeds come back. and we split them up that way. A joint venture. Yes.
Yeah, and did you say Julie or John had any interest in coming back and
Well,
working on it?
I would like, no, at this point they don't. So we'll see. I thought John, you said hi.
Yeah, John.
Okay.
But you still hold out hope
They were
that they
teammates.
become interested.
What's that?
You still hold out hope that they're going to.
I still have a lot of hope. As a matter, I really do.
You've been in business for almost 100 years now, right?
Almost 100 years, and it would be sad that it's still a viable operation. If we keep like we're doing right now, we're probably never ever going to go broke. We're still going to be around. We won't. Like I said, we've been in business a lot longer than Grimley and Bolthouse in Paramount. But we're perfectly happy with we are. How's that? There's a lot of people that aren't. You guys have seen that too. The people that open a restaurant. There's restaurants that open and close every day in Kern County. The ones that are there working at it, watching their funds, watching what they do. That's the small business model that's probably really easy to observe and critique, right? Really easy.
Actually, segueing off of that, Dennis had asked, my friend is a grower rep in ag and currently looking for a job. Can you point him in the right direction? And actually, now that I think about what a grower rep is, I assume that somebody, if you were not already connected with Blue Diamond or Sunman or whoever else, you need somebody to find a company that's going to go distribute and sell your products. So, do you guys ever look for somebody new to do? And if not, who is looking for a grower rep? I guess is.
Those positions open up, and they some of those are posted. And what's his qualification? Who am I talking to? What's his qualification?
He's a grower up for about a year. He worked with Supreme Almonds.
Oh, okay. He works for Mike Mason. Okay, well now he's looking for another spot. No?
Yeah, he's trying to stay within ag, and I'd like to get him up because I can't do it.
That's it. If he was involved in that for a year, he'll find something.
Do you know of anybody who's looking, or could you give a suggestion if you did?
Blue Diamond just hired somebody, which would have been a good segue, starting with a private company and going to Blue Diamond. But they just hired somebody to fill that spot. And there's other opportunities. The networking, did he have a network of friends?
He's relatively new in Mobile. Unfortunately, I didn't build a strong network.
Cool.
So
I'll think of it. If something comes up, I'll get a hold of you to get a hold of him.
the other question that I wanted to still get to, Derek, I'll give you like the last question. Like Kent and I had actually discussed it briefly, and I mentioned it a little bit at the beginning. But first of all, what's been your favorite part of the ag industry? And secondly, with respect to our crowdfunding project, do you give donations to community ag projects?
We donate our share to the local Arvin Lamont area more than anything. You guys, my school district, my elementary school district encompasses Wheat Patch, California. It's been to Wheat Patch, California. One of the lowest per capita income areas in the United States of America. So we try and support our local community. I'd be interested in helping you guys with your project.
Yeah, we'll send you the.
But if you can understand that mindset, it's a lot of poor people in Wheat Patch. Yeah, some of them work for me. Yes, that's it too. So
The name's Weed Patch?
you've never been to Wheat
No.
Patch?
No.
The grapes of wrath.
This is the first time that
Did you ever read
I
Sunset?
did read the Grapes of Wrath.
The Wheat Patch is the Sunset
The
Lake.
actual.
Yes.
Cool.
Came out here for
that'll be part of the tour.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna ask I'll jump in, ask a general question, and then make sure that we tie things up correctly, or tie them up before 9. Kayleen, you had asked before about taking a tour at some point. Kent and I were talking about a tour just for me because I have yet to be to his farm. This is the second time he's been nice enough to come and talk to my classes. I want to go too. I was thinking about April after I get back from spring break. But availability-wise, are people interested in going to see the farm earlier than that? Let me see hands. Could we set something up between now and the middle of March?
What is your quarter end?
Basically March 16th. Our last class session is March 9th, and then finals week is the week after that, and we don't have class scheduled for finals week, so I'd have to check with everybody about times that they're available, but could we come up at the beginning of March if we could figure it out?
Anytime you want. April is much more conducive. Things are growing there. We're just coming out of winter right now. The almonds are in full bloom, but of course, come in.
So April is more. There'd be more to see, basically, or there's more stuff growing in April.
Do it whenever it's convenient. If you want this group, this class to come, do it when you guys are still together.
I'll circulate around to people, figure out when.
Is this your cohort? Is this everybody that's in the program? No.
You guys know that better than me. This is my first MBA class.
About half?
No.
Might be a quarter.
Something like that.
I think it's like 90. Isn't that what they said? There's like 90 people in the MBA program.
Okay.
Yes, whatever you
Yeah,
want.
cool. I'll reach out about that after you've I'll send a little questionnaire around, figure out when people are available, and see if we can get something done sooner rather than later. Does anybody have a question we didn't get to? There's a couple more that I highlighted, but it's almost 9 o'clock, and I wanted to make sure to be able to talk briefly about your projects and some other announcements. Anything we didn't get to that you guys don't want to miss before Kent's gone? Kent, other direction, anything you didn't get to go over that you'd still like to?
I'll think about it on the way home.
Okay. I guess that.
There we go.
Yes, Justin.
Justin has one last question. Do you use beehives on your property
Do we have beehives?
other than for pollinating?
No.
Okay, I'm just
That could be, to keep beehives on our property year-round could be a liability because of certain pesticides, fungicides of mine and my neighbors being used. It would be detrimental to the health of the bees. They would be much better up in the foothills
The bees would?
after pollination, after they do their work.
Got it. Well, yeah, of course. We're not going to give them a vacation before they've done their work. So if there's no other questions on either side, I got a couple things to go over, but let's first give Kent a huge round of applause. Thank you very much for coming by again. I can't wait to come up in April and sooner, but if people are available sooner, I'll let you know about that too.
Whatever it is you guys come up with, you know where I'm at.
Definitely. Thank you so much for coming to the class.